Morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us this morning on Nadex Morning Analysis. My name is Todd Rich. I'm with Nadex. I've got Brian Caprice from Keep Trading Simple. We are going to go through a few things today. I think we've got a few opportunities that might be hot spots for you to look at in the market. But before I jump over there to that, I do need to take care of some quick housekeeping items. One, trading does involve risk. Might not be appropriate for everyone. Any trading you do is solely your own responsibility. And please note, this is an educational session. And please don't construe anything that Brian or I say as a trading recommendation. What I would like to do now is actually, Brian, how you doing? Good morning.
Good morning. It's a little cold in Maryland today. Fall is truly upon us, maybe even winter. I think it's like 40 degrees outside, so a little brisk out here today.
Yeah, we've got the same thing going on here. How do I? I'd like to try to do this where. Well,
Bounce it
I'm trying
around.
to figure out how to get us to both be up there at the same time. I know that's
Sure.
possible, but
Oh,
I'll keep
technology.
clicking buttons, and I'll just leave it
Absolutely.
this way.
I know.
My
I keep
favorite.
looking around. It's all over the place. I'm going to jump right in because we got a lot today, and I want to make sure we get everybody out of here. So, a
All right,
lot
let
of
me
stuff
get
that's
your.
been in the
Oops,
news.
let me spot that. There you go. Fire away. Sorry about
Let
that.
me bring this across first. So, first things first, 8:30, just a little while ago, half hour, we had some very disappointing core retail sales. If you guys remember from yesterday, I mentioned that retail sales is one of those things that, it was going to be a very interesting number to see whether we were higher what the forecast was based off of. I do think with all the lockdown news that we're hearing right now that we will start to see a surge, especially in the core retail sales as people are starting to hoard again. I know my wife said that she found bleach wipes, kind of one of her off stores, but all the main stores gone. And then we're seeing toilet paper, paper towels, all those kinds of things, the shelves are getting empty again. So I do believe that we will have spikes, but seeing these numbers is pretty disappointing right now. Couple that with what we've seen in the overnight with some of the news about COVID-19. California now, I guess, is officially locking down religious institutions. They are, I guess, closing gyms again. And then I guess maybe even, again, man, I could be wrong here, but I did hear as well that they are closing indoor restaurant dining and it's only going outside. That kind of is on top of the other news that we saw that 13 states yesterday hit new record highs for a single day of positive results. So, and California wasn't one of them. So none of these are good things for the overall economy, and that kind of leads into what we're seeing inside of the chart. So let me move this out of the way.
And by the way, we got the same thing going on in Illinois.
Yeah.
We're on a advisory lockdown in Chicago. It's
Okay.
just a matter of time. It's
Yeah, I
just a
mean,
matter of
Maryland,
time.
no youth sports, restaurants are at, I think it's 25% capacity. And again, we had 3 record days in a row, so I'm expecting another YouTube broadcast and Governor Hogan coming on to shut more down. So it's coming. I'm expecting it. But anyway, we're seeing that again overall in the dollar yen. And again, I'm gonna look at the dollar yen, the Dow, and then I want to highlight oil again from what we saw yesterday into today. Um, Dollar yen, obviously, core retail sales is not great numbers. Again, disappointing. They adjusted it even lower before previously. There's a zone that we talked about, again, in the middle of this large emotional move last week, right? We saw that there was a little bit of a kickback, and you can see this zone actually on the hourly, the 30-minute, and the 15. Now, it's in an area where we're at right now. And for those of you that attend the Tuesday afternoon broadcast at noon, you guys hear me talk about a Harry Potter trade setup. It's a continuation trade. Now, this trade is kind of a longer term kind of parabolic retracement, bring in this move back down, but then also a continuation. I like this one to go lower. I think, the fact that we are kind of in the middle of kind of what I would signify as the curve, the kind of upper and lower kind of bands right now. I do see this one coming back down, most likely down into at an extreme level, 103.30. But I think there's decent levels of, profit targets down here at 103.80, 103.60, and then 103.30 with an eventual target. Unfortunately, again, as much as I love the knockouts these days, this is going to be a little bit harder knockout wise, just because it's a continuation where we break through the bottom side. It's kind of hard to get an appropriate risk, but again, I think binaries and call spreads would probably be the best kind of bet to take this one. At least taking it to the downside.
Yeah, let's take a quick peek over at the Nadex platform. In fact, I've got these levels here on the dollar yen here. We're just going to back it up. I mean, we did see that parabolic move, as you mentioned, and we're seeing it retrace something that you talk about quite frequently. So yeah, you're looking at a continued rollover here, looking to the downside on the dollar yen with potential support down in that 103, you know,
Yeah, there's a few levels
60,
there.
50-ish range down here. So, if someone wanted to play this, there might be some knockouts that someone could take a look at depending upon where they would potentially want to set their risk reward. You're right. There's probably some binary options as well. In fact, let's go ahead and bring up the dollar yen real quickly over here on. I just gotta scroll through and find it here. I'll just pick one of these. Let's take a look at some of these binary levels that someone might want to take a peek at. So there, yeah. So there are some probability levels in here that could become interesting if you're thinking there might be a continued rollover to the downside. Um,
Yeah, and if
here,
you look at where current price is right now, it's about 104.15. One of the things to
yeah.
take into consideration here is what the ATR is, the average true range during a specific time period. If you go down to like the 30-minute level, you can see that there's a 10 pip ATR. So technically speaking, we're within 30 minutes to an hour of a move of breaking some of these binaries. That's why I think it's not necessarily a bad setup.
Excellent. You mentioned you wanted to go through.
Yep.
Just take a look at the Dow because that too has been rather interesting after
Right. Yeah. I
all
mean, the
these
Dow's a little
COVID
bit different.
announcements.
Yeah, the Dow is definitely higher. Yesterday we drew kind of our intraday curve level where we're thinking when we're in the top third, we're thinking bearish, right? And again, probably adjusted right there. So this is a level that we've seen buyers step in. Yeah, nice spike in, a little basing. It retested and went higher. And again, here's that Harry Potter formation, the base, break, pullback, and explosion. We saw it, and then again, it is retraced this parabolic move down, and now we're at that same level where buyers have stepped in. Now, buyers are only going to be there for so long. The way that I'm looking at the level right now is, hey, listen, we had a big spike up, a little bit of a gap here, right? But we've had the basing and we're getting negative news. We're getting more shutdowns. These are all kind of fundamental factors that lead us to believe that the Dow is probably not going to have the best day today. And again, being high on the curve kind of tips it in the favor of being a little bit more bearish. For me, this is kind of a break of 29,654. And I'm looking for targets. And again, remember, my numbers are slightly off based off of ECN data. Looking for targets. Again, ideally back down in this lower level. I will say right now, I'm not going to give you the specific numbers. I want people to do their homework as well. There's an interesting knockout bracket. And again, we're kind of at the upper reaches of it right now. We're kind of closer to the ceiling. It's a little bit far, but I will say an area where I'm looking for overall targets would be down here in this kind of greenish area where my indicator is saying that we have some demand coming in. Right around this area, there just happens to be the floor of a knockout. So it's not only a great way to kind of take it short and kind of take your profit low, but it also could be a potential area for a bounce next week, or maybe even if we have a big day today, we could get an end of the day bounce and kind of rally back off that the lower piece of that knockout.
All right, let's do the show and tell part of this. Here we are, the Wall Street 30, which is indeed the Dow contract. I'm going to. We do see that it is rolling over a little bit, and if someone wanted to look at some of these contracts, there are, if you thought this was going to continue lower, there might be a knockout in here that you might be interested in. Remember, too, with all these Nadex contracts, just because you put it on, you don't have to get knocked out. You don't have to.
Right.
If
Yeah,
it
that's what
starts
I
going
mean. Like
against
taking
you,
it off. Yep.
yeah, you can always take it back take it off for a partial profit or a partial loss if it's going against you. You don't always have to experience maximum loss or maximum profit. But if you think this is going to continue to roll over with a potential reversal, and I think you were talking right around that 29,200 level,
Yeah.
there's some interesting, and that's always those double zero levels too. It turns
Exactly.
into some of a bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy, these emotional levels. And let's go ahead and I'm going to take a look at the binaries in this as well, just because I like people to see. You do have these choices, and if you think it's something that might happen later in the week,
Yeah,
there are
and same thing. It's important to note as well. You don't have to hold the binaries till the end as well. You can take them
right.
off early. And most times when I'm setting up positions or I'm talking about my risk to reward ratios, I'm not holding till expiration. I'm actually looking to take them off early based off of my risk and expected or hopeful profit targets.
Right. And here are some of these weekly binary strike prices that are right around that 29,200 level where you thought there might, if this did continue its rollover into this downtrend, that you might see some type of support and a
I
potential
mean, it's an
reversal at
it's
this
an area
level.
where buyers have stepped in. Like I said yesterday, don't trade with a crystal ball, trade the chart. And again, we've seen buyers step in there in the past.
So it comes in there. There might be some opportunity for
Yep.
people to take a look
All right.
at.
If we have time for, I'm going to do one more. I'm going to cover
Yeah,
oil real quick.
I like
Here,
talking about oil just because it's
wait,
been the story because
yeah,
it really has been a proxy for the economy, or at least people's perception of the economy,
demand in
with it
general.
driving demand. Right.
Yeah, I mean, so yesterday we were sitting kind of in this range, and we mentioned, hey, listen, we had a Fibonacci ratio coming up here, the 23.6. It's an area where sellers have stepped in. We've seen massive movement coming to the downside, and that's exactly what we had. Price came back up, and again, we mentioned those shorts yesterday, and we watched price rally all the way through and ended up moving back again to the origin of the move, like we talk about. Now I'm kind of setting this up, and again, this may not be a today thing, but with oil inventory coming in tomorrow, and again, lockdowns and stories about demand, it's something that I got on my radar. So, we're sitting here right now at approximately 40.92. Yesterday we talked about having profit targets again. The start of the move here at 41. As you can see, we came through that, but there's another level a little bit lower. Again, we had a pullback here. Buyers stepped in. We kind of based, and buyers stepped in again. If you were looking to take a position short today, and again, I'm on a 30-minute. I don't really see any great shorts right around here, but if you were taking it short, I'd be making sure that I got out before I hit that 40.25. But this is another one of those levels that it is a potential reversal area. Why? Again, we've seen it. Again, it's not the crystal ball. We've seen buyers step in. We based and then had a nice explosive push out of it. It also just happens to be bisected, just like this top one was, by a Fibonacci line over here at the 78.6. All right. Again, I don't do tons of fibs, but I know people out there like fibs, and that the magic and the mystique. It's kind of like the Force, right? George Lucas in the Force sometimes. But again, you guys can see when we get these sellers stepping in at those same levels, it's another way that you can kind of stack the odds. So again, it is an area where I do think there could be some potential reversal down here at 40.25 down to 40.05.
That is interesting. Let me take a quick look. We're going to jump over to the Nadex platform again. And you mentioned fibs. I do like to every once in a while show people so they can see exactly what we're talking about. And here, I'm just going to go ahead and click on the drawing tools. Let's do a Fibonacci retracement. And since we see that we're currently in a downtrend, I start in the upper left-hand corner, go to my bottom right-hand, and drag it over. And that's kind of one quick way for you to put in some of your Fibonacci retracement levels, and it'll identify some of these potential support and resistance levels. And it's rather interesting because if there's a lot of people looking at it, you tend to sometimes it can be a self-fulfilling prophecy where you tend to see support and resistance to these levels, or maybe Fibonacci's right. It's a pattern that's seen in
So
nature. Maybe you see it in the markets as well.
yeah, and if you were looking for short today, again, I do think especially based off of your draw, that 41.50 is also going to be a psychological level. That could also be a place that if we get enough of a pop, that could be a rollover to take us down for the oil inventory report tomorrow at that 40.25.
Yeah, that's definitely something to consider. What I would like. Oh, shoot! Why does that happen? I know why. I'm sorry.
There we go.
I lost you for a second
You'll get
as
it.
I. You know what? I think I figured it out. So I know what it is when I flip over to another screen.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, listen, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. There's three things to be looking at. Three hotspots: the dollar yen, the Dow, back in oil as well. I would like to thank Brian for coming. If you got any questions for Brian, you want to reach out to him, you can email him at support@keeptradingsimple.com. You got any questions for Nadex, customer service at nadex.com. And I also want to mention, if you're here for the Nadex trading challenge, we are running a demo trading challenge this week with cash prizes. Come back. We're going to be doing this again tomorrow, Thursday, Friday. In fact, we're going to be extending this. Brian and I are going to be doing this every day, not just for the trading challenge. It's going to be a regular staple in the Nadex playbook for trying to offer folks some help and guidance in the markets every morning. So please join us or catch the recordings. If you've got questions about that trading challenge, if you missed it this time, email customer service at nadex.com and we'll make sure that you know when we do our next one. If you don't have a demo account, click that link below. And there are also some programs that we're running. Initial deposits, you can get a 10% deposit. If you're a long-standing customer with Nadex, you're a long hauler with us, I'd recommend you consider, if you haven't taken advantage of it, our refer a friend program. You refer a friend and they get into the Nadex markets. You get $200, they get $200. It's really a win-win. So why not? With that, I would like to thank Brian for joining us again. We will catch you tomorrow morning at the same time, and want to wish everyone good luck in the markets.